Welcome to Maker Camp.
You know, if you're anything like me, you probably have a lot of stuff. And if you have a lot of stuff, some of it might not be working anymore. Maybe you need to repair it, maybe you need to repurpose it, or just find an easier way to use it.
You know, Sugru does just that. It's made of 99% magic and 1% secret ingredients.
Ooh.
Today we're going to be talking with Jane Ní Dhulchaointigh, the founder and inventor of Sugru, and she's going to tell us some amazing things about how you can take control of the stuff in your life and make it work better.
Plus, we'll visit Sam and Joe's Corner, and we're going to check with our camp counselors to talk about today's project, milk plastic. So get ready, get excited, let's make something great.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Camp Director Paloma.
And I'm Camp Director Burke. Now, remember, as I say every other week in Maker Camp, the internet's a two-way street. So if you have any questions or comments, go on to our Google Plus Maker Camp community page, post them, and we'll answer them later in the show.
I love it. And also, we've had so much fun this week with affiliates on the show. So if you are an affiliate and you want to appear live with us in the future, go to the affiliate information page and fill out the form.
Awesome. So before we meet today's guest, why don't we head on over to our camp counselors and see a little bit more about, some of the interactions we've had with campers and today's project. Counselors, how's it going?
Hey Burke, I'm Enrique. And I'm Counselor Pierre. Hi campers, I'm fine, I hope you too. I will show you what you've been working on. First, here are Camper Mishti at Makerspace Daily, who is playing the Makey Makey bongos she programmed.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh, that's adorable and really functional.
Yes, and now the Sustainable Living Lab Maker Camp in Singapore takes a field to the Mini Maker Fair.
Mini maker fairs are a great way to meet other makers in your community and to learn new stuff. So definitely check out where your local mini maker fairs are. And that kid does not look like a grouch to me.
No, he seems very happy making something new.
Very cute. And I also like that he's keeping his hand out of the way of the saw.
Oh yeah, safety first right there.
And here we are at Techie's Lab, and it's the Summer of Code, and the campers explore robotics.
Man, Legos really are everywhere. These look awesome.
Yeah, Lego Mindstorms is definitely one of the best things Lego's put out. It's a great intro to basic electronics and just understanding how to program too.
It's really just awesome.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yes, it is. And now at the refuge, makers are shaking ice cream as we did it yesterday.
Looks good. I want some.
Oh, that's great. Two of the things of my childhood: ice cream and Legos. What could be better than that?
I mean, it's a pretty good combination.
And they're also learning how to solder.
Soldering,
Awesome.
It's really the best first step. Honestly, like learning how to use a soldering iron really just, it opens up the world of making.
It's true. I've seen so many different people of completely different age ranges, from 4-year-old to 90. It's never too late or never too early to learn how to solder.
Well, I would guess maybe past. You should probably be able to have control of your motor functions.
I think speech would help too.
Yeah,
But
I mean those
I'd say it's a pretty low bar.
Those are good first benchmarks.
Yeah.
But it is really, really easy to get started. And I have received a very awesome thing in the mail. So, okay, campers, you remember we were talking about the paper circuits? And I challenged you to make a purple paper eater. Well, yesterday in the mail, I received a purple paper eater.
Look at that.
I did not receive a duck, as was also suggested as a project. And I'd like to read this letter here. It says,
boy,
Dear
here we go.
Paloma, hello. I heard you say that you wanted people to make a purple paper eater. I thought the duck was lame, so I did yours instead. I hope you enjoy. Your friend Carson. Thank you, Carson. I love this. It made my day. And I am very, very excited about receiving this, especially because it's awesome and the LED does actually light up. So well done on your making and getting everything put in correctly. And thank you so much for sharing that with us.
It's pretty great. But
Yeah.
it's not real like a duck. Just saying. Ducks are actually real.
I mean, campers, if you see a purple paper eater out in the public, please take a picture of it, post it on the community page, and tag this guy.
Yes, campers, thank you very much. But remember, we want to see your projects this summer. So take pictures and video of what you're working on and post them on the community page. Show us what you made, what you learned, and what you want to make next.
Cool. Thanks, Pierre. So today's daily project is milk plastic. This is a fun project for makers of all skill levels. Pretty simple. So first off, you start with milk. You heat it up in a saucepan, and you add a little bit of vinegar. The amounts are on our project link page. So that acts as a catalyst and separates the solids from the liquids. So you take the solids and you put it through a strainer. And so once you've collected your solids, you pat dry them with a paper towel. And you can push them into whatever mold or hand shape them to whatever you prefer. So you let that dry for a few days, and once it becomes hard, you can spray paint it with acrylic like I did, and then decorate with paint markers. It's really cool because this project is completely up to you, and you can do whatever you want with it. So post pictures of your projects, and we'll share them on the Hangout tomorrow. Back to you at Maker Camp HQ.
Wow, that looks really great. And
It's a cool looking skull right there.
yeah, you did a great job with that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
And campers, I really want to see what you do with it, so be sure to post them on the community page. And you know what? There's so many ways to get started on a project. You can see something that somebody else did and go, that's awesome, I want to make one of those. Or you can see something and you're like, no, I don't like that so much. I ought to do something about that and make it better. Our guest today invented a rubber substance that she calls Sugru that gives makers and fixers a way to take the stuff in their life and make it work better and last longer. So, but before we meet our first guest, who we're very excited for, let's take a look at Sugru in action.
What the flip is Sugru? This is Sugru. It feels like Play-Doh, super easy to use, and overnight it turns into rubber. Sugru is three-dimensional and fills weird gaps. So you can stick anything to anything! Ooh, oh, so it's easy to fix broken plastics like toys and cracks in the fridge. Patch rusty metal in your dishwasher. And replace missing parts. It's not just about fixing. If it's not broken, you can improve it. Make handy hooks with almost anything. Or rubber feet to protect things. Or make things more comfortable. Sugru is super durable, so it's perfect for use indoors and out. So you can reimagine anything, like Stefan, who transformed an old digital camera into a kid's cam. Go on! The world is full of crap. But it's our crap. These ideas come from people all over the world that are using Sugru to make their stuff last longer and work better for them. Join us on Sugru.com. Dive in and get excited. Sugru's not responsible for your imagination.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jane. Welcome to Maker Camp. Oh, sorry, it seems you're muted. You're going to have to click the unmute button.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
Welcome to Maker Camp.
Thank you. Off to a terrible start. We're being from London.
Oh, we are so happy to have you.
It's
Wonderful
great.
to have you here. So well, let's just start it off right off the bat. So give us a great rundown of Sugru. Let's dive right in with
Yeah,
that.
what is it?
Yeah, what exactly?
Is it? Okay, so I'll talk about what is it. It's this squishy little substance you've seen in the video there with my husband James going a bit crazy. So you can basically, it's a new silicone, a new type of silicone that I invented. I'll talk about in a few minutes about how I invented it, but first I'll just describe what it's like. So it's like that Play-Doh, and then you can do anything with it, like James was saying on the video, from like fixing stuff to make it last longer, to reinventing things, reimagining how things work, to then also the stuff that wasn't mentioned on that video, because that's more about kind of getting people excited about fixing things. People also use it a lot for making things. So for projects where you might need to mount little parts together, or difficult things that might not stick with glue, where you need to build up a bit of 3D or a bit of rubbery stuff. We've seen people also like encapsulate electronics into things. So for example, somebody today shared with us a vibrating watch that they made for as an alarm clock, so they wouldn't have to hear a really noisy alarm clock. They made their homemade little vibrating alarm clock, and it's all encapsulated in Sugru rubber, so you can imagine it's still waterproof and nice to wear and stuff. That's just an example of a kind of a makey project. But yeah, so that's Sugru. Shall I explain about how it's made or how I invented it?
I would love to hear that.
That'd be great.
Okay. Well, you might think by the end of this interview that I'm not the most, that I might be a bit nutty. But
we love people that are nutty around here.
Okay. Well, Sugru started. It all sounds really logical now, and like it all makes sense and stuff. But whenever it started, it really, really wasn't like that. And so I was studying product design, and I was about 22 or 23. I'd already studied sculpture, and now I wanted to turn my creative skills into something just useful, to kind of be creative, but about everyday life and improving everyday life. And so I enrolled with product design, but I found that I was actually finding that really, really difficult. Just to kind of think linear, because like my brain just kind of thinks a bit all over the place. And so I was pretty intimidated, but I got lost. Basically, I said I'm really into materials and making things with my hands. So maybe that's something that I could bring to product design, and I could start exploring what things are made of, not like the final design. And so I started basically taking apart all different kind of materials, really like the challenge today, like milk, right? Milk plastic. Like, who would think that you can make plastic out of milk? But that's somebody that's saying, okay, let's take it apart and see how it could be put back together differently. So I got all kinds of different materials, and lots of them were waste, things that were, like were in the rubbish or whatever. And I did hundreds of experiments, but one of them, one day, I mixed, the stuff that you get, silicone caulk, which is for sealing your bath or your shower so that like water doesn't get into the cracks. I got a tube of that, and I had a whole pile of wood powder that comes, if you know, in a carpentry woodwork shop, where the extraction system pulls out all the dust out of the air, and then in one piece there's a bin that holds all the powder. And I just collected some of that, and I mixed that together with the silicone. And I didn't really think about what I was doing, but I just made some balls out of it. And this is actually one of the original balls. It's 10 years old. You can see it looks a bit like MDF or like, wood. And anyway, I just left it on the workbench at lunch, and I came back after lunch, and I just picked it up, and I was like, that looks, yeah, okay. It feels really hard, actually. And then I just bounced it on the floor, and this is what happened, right? You probably might be able to see it, because I'm just going to bounce it on the floor now, and let's hope it doesn't, like, ruin everything. But it basically, like, oh, sorry. But it basically bounces like a ping pong ball. Like, it pretty much hit the ceiling. And I was just like, that's amazing. It looks like wood, but it behaves like rubber. Oh my God, what could I do with that? Anyway, long story short, I tried to find the one perfect thing that this material might be good at, and I couldn't find any one thing. And in the end, because I hate wasting things, so I just started using up all the leftovers on things in my house to make stuff work look good. And then my husband, James, who was on that video being a bit mad, he sort of just helped me to see that actually maybe it wasn't about me, and it wasn't about one big project. Maybe it was about everybody else, and loads of thousands of other little ideas. And like that it could be something that's not a big creative thing, but actually just really handy, humble thing that everybody that finds something difficult to use or breaks or something like this could just like make that little transformation that makes a difference in their life. And I was just like, oh my God. Because it's one of those ideas that's small enough that like I think, you could really see that it fits in your life. And it's big enough that you can get really excited about, because it's, you can just imagine the scale. Oh, like actually if you can get it like really easy to use enough and safe enough and nice enough and fun enough, that could be something like duct tape or something like, super glue, something that's in everybody's house. And to me that was really, really exciting. But that was just the beginning, and that was actually like I'm terrible. I forget what age I am, but I'm about 35. I totally forget. But I'm just saying it took absolutely ages to get from like an idea to something that is Sugru today, where we've made like millions of these little mini packs of Sugru, which we make in our factory here in London, where I am, and there's 40 people work here. We're scientists, creative people, people in our manufacturing in the factory, people working out all the business, like how it all works together financially and stuff. So it's changed a lot, and like I guess we can go into, if you're interested, the science side, because that's obviously the biggest thing. Like I had this idea for a new material, but it didn't exist. How can you bring something from like a silly wooden ball made out of silicone cork to something that you can produce in a factory where every gram of it that you produce has to be exactly the same. Everybody that gets their little mini pack has to work exactly as we say it is. So the science is really, really, really important. It has to work.
Now, you mentioned something about earlier in development how you don't like to waste things. Was that something that you had in your childhood as you were becoming this maker, or is that an evolved perspective that developed over time?
That it's something that I think is just from my upbringing, because I live in London now, but when I was growing up, I grew up on a farm in Ireland. And basically, anyone that grows up on a farm, you know what it's like. Like, you hardly ever go to shops. You know, if you've got a problem with something, the solution isn't like, oh, I take out my wallet and I drive down to the shop. The solution is, oh, crap, okay, we need to get some wood, we need to get some screws, we need to, like, get the angle grinder out, we need to get the welder, whatever it is. When you have a problem on the farm, you need to know how to fix things, because often you don't have a lot of money as well. So where I grew up, like my granny was really into mending and making clothes and stuff. So I really liked learning from her. And then my mum was really into like making bread and like growing vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So then when I moved to the city, to London, I just think that these days we've kind of lost a lot. Like there's some people that just don't have the pleasure of like understanding how things work. And I think if you work and you like work at a computer all day and you're just like, okay, I'm doing work in an office, and you never have a connection with the stuff. You never know how it's made, or like you never actually have something to show for your time. I think that like people get pretty unhappy that kind of way. So the whole kind of idea of Sugru, I just think it's about like having little moments of connections with the stuff around you and being able to do something about the problem instead of having to go, oh, a bit better call a plumber, or I better call my dad, or whatever. Maybe there's an easy way to just do something about it yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people in the maker movement can really identify with. If you are a maker and you can't make, you definitely start to feel like, oh no, what's going on? I'm so sad. And so when you get something, when you really are able to spend the time and put your hands on things and create something, you really add, something really wonderful to your life, and it really fills your time with something fun and exciting.
Totally.
So,
and it can be such a small thing to satisfy you, can't it? Like, not every, like a lot of people, you have to have a job and whatever. So like, even if you can have like half an hour a day where you can just like draw something or like cook something or make something, I just think like, for me anyway, that's just who I am. I would go crazy if I didn't.
Well, it's really important because we live in a world today where you don't necessarily have to know how everything functions, and I think that that's removing one of the core essential parts about not just being a person, but just being human in general. We use our hands to make and create our environment around us, and this leads me into a question that we wanted to broach on, is the idea that Sugru itself has a manifesto, which it's pretty unusual for anything that's out there that's just you go to the store and you buy it, and then there's a little manifesto on that. Could you explain to us what that manifesto is and how that idea and ideal has affected your life in both in creativity and in what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. Well, so I guess like Sugru, to me it is about so much more than this little rubber material. And I guess we've launched it, and then we have people all over the world using it. And what happened was that a lot of people that use it share online, like how they feel about what they've done, or like how happy they are. Oh, I just fixed, my chicken coop, or I've just made, I don't know, a new saucepan handle, whatever it is. But the thing that they all had in common is basically like kind of like a way of seeing the world. Because like this, you could say, well, like this is just like a new type of glue, right? But just behind it, as a company and as a group of people, and me as founder, I just believe in so much more. So, like for example, with the manifesto, this is a framed one which I have in my office, but you can see it online, and it's basically got 12 different points on there of what we believe in and the change that we want to make in the world. And when I say we, I mean like not just me or us as a company. It's more like us as a community, because we've got people using Sugru in 150 something countries, and all of those people, like, they have something in common, and it's that not just they like fixing things and making things, but they believe that fixing and making things is important. And it's important because of some different reasons. So, for example, number 2 on here, for example, so number 1 is if it's broken, fix it. Okay, that's really obvious. If it's not broken, improve it. Well, that's the kind of thing that, like, often, things like, you get all these products and like they're all being imported from China and they're made in millions and millions. And we don't think, like most people, okay, there's some makers think really naturally like this, but most people don't, it doesn't really occur to them that actually they could hack it, they could modify it to be better for them, to be unique for them. So that's what that point is about. Longer life. I mean, some of my favorites are things like nurture your curiosity. That's something that, like, Sugru, like, once, like, we're trying to do with that is, like, not just help you fix problems, but also see opportunities around you. And that helps you be more curious. So, like, for example, if you think, oh, my shower could actually be, if it was a bit higher on the wall, maybe, like, it would be better. Like, I don't know, that's just really, like, obvious, dumb example. But, I just think if you're in your everyday life, if you're thinking about stuff around you like that, then you're going to treat other things in the same way. And all those kind of, like, pathways in your brain or whatever that are about, like, problem solving and being curious and seeing opportunities, then that's going to help you in your work and everything as well, And then the last one is about share your ideas and your enthusiasm and your skills. And for me, that's something like, that's kind of like a culture that has been built up around Sugru. I think it's just like really in common with all, the other maker movement things. It's just, we're so lucky that we live in a time where, it's not like, in the old days, people used to go like, oh, that's mine, I'm going to keep it secret until, then I'm going to make lots of money out of it, or something like that. I don't want people to steal my ideas, things like that. But we're so lucky we live in a time where, like, the Sugru community, Instructables, the Make community, all these, like, amazing communities where everyone just, like, if they discover something, they want to put it online and they want everyone else to benefit from what they've just learned. And we just want to foster that more, not just amongst us makers, but also just, like, people, just, like, everyday people that, like, mightn't even make things, but just going to fix their kettle or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's so great. And we actually just posted the Fixers Manifesto on the Google Plus community page. So campers, if you want to print it out, read it, memorize it, have it be part of your life, and recite it to yourself every morning before you go to school,
yeah.
You can go there and check it out.
There's also we have it on GitHub, so you can improve it. So just like anything else, it's not set in stone. Go on the GitHub, and if you think you don't agree with some of the words or the points that we're making and you can make it better, just, like, go on there and hack it around and make it version number, I can't remember what version we're on now, but whatever, make your own.
I love that. I love things that are constantly evolving based on their community. It's great. And also, you were talking about improving your home and improving your life. And Sugru is a great thing that allows you to repair, upgrade, and reinvent everything around you. And we have a really great example of how to make your home more quiet using Sugru. So let's check out that video.
Cool.
That's so awesome. That was so fun. I didn't want it to end. I was enjoying it so much.
That was really good stop motion.
Yeah.
That looked great.
So that's a really great example of how you can bring Sugru into your life in ways that you may not have thought of when you first heard of the product. So can you tell us about how campers can use things around their life that maybe they didn't think that they could use them?
Yeah, so you guys asked me to think about a challenge for the campers, and I thought about right back when I had the first idea for Sugru, and I had this like ugly wooden bowl. And what happened after I had that idea was that I started playing around and sketching, well, what could this material be and what could it be used for? I went pretty crazy and I filled notebooks and notebooks and notebooks with lots of little drawings of what I could do. And I'm going to show you the book now. So it's like precious. It'll go in a museum someday. But back then, Sugru, I called it formal. So I'm letting you into a little secret there. And I made this little book that says 100 uses for this material. And remember, this material didn't exist yet. I was just imagining this like space age rubber, which exists now in the future, but we're like time traveling here into the past. And so I was imagining it, and I thought of this book has 100 different uses for it. And I went through all the different rooms in the home. So for example, like from faucets right through to rubber ducks, for example. Like imagine being able to make your own floating rubber duck of the personality you want. Or like being able to, for example, make your coat hangers work better, be more grippy so that coats don't fall off, to making a shoe chewier so your dog is happier, to, let's see, making a swing that is like got some rubbery bits on it on the rope. So there's 100 different ideas in there, and like some of them, these are like completely bizarre. So for example, this one is imagining if the door handle was more like a ship steering wheel. So that's just kind of let me into thinking about uses for stuff, where some of them are completely practical, and then some of them are just like daft. But so my challenge to you is to do the same, not for Sugru, but for an everyday object. So think of an object that is in your home. I'm going to give you a suggestion of 3, so you can take one of these if you like, or if you have a better idea, you can do that. Challenge number 1, 100 uses for a paper clip. And you need to make 100 little sketches. They can all take like, 30 seconds, 1 minute each. It doesn't have to be a really long project. Little stick drawings. That's a paper clip. Number 2, a jam jar. I think you call it a mason jar. Anyway, it's super handy. There's loads of things you can do with this. Think of 100 things and make 100 drawings. And number 3, lemon. Super handy. Google all the stuff you can do with lemon. Just think about it. If you think of a lemon not as a fruit, but as a material, what could it be used for? Investigate what properties this fruit has. Not just making it tasty, but other things it might be able to do. And make 100 drawings of things they could do. And they don't all have to be plausible or sensible. They can just be daft.
My favorite ones are the ones that aren't sensible at all. They're just crazy and interesting and weird. So campers, find something in your house and then try to find the weirdest and most unusual and think outside the box on that and make drawings or take pictures and share those on our Google Plus community page with what inspired you.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll be checking back. I'll check into the Maker onto the community page tomorrow and the next day and just have a look and see what people are doing.
Yeah, so you better get it done, campers.
Yeah, Jane's watching. Well, thank you so much, Jane, for coming onto the show and talking to us about the creative process and everything. I know we're going to get a lot of questions and comments from our campers out there, but before we answer them, why don't we head over to our weekly segment with Sam and Joe's Corner, and we're going to talk about something that actually this is a really great video. How to collaborate with a bunch of your friends together, like to make a big project. So let's check it out.
Hey guys, so this week we're going to be talking about project management and documentation, which are both really important things to know as a maker.
Whenever I start a project, big or small, I always like to keep a binder and sketchbook with me. Whenever I have an idea for a project, I do a quick sketch in here, I put the date on it and any other important information, I just tear the sheet off, and then it goes into my project binder. As an example, a couple of years ago I made myself a custom scooter, and so I did a lot of preliminary sketches and design work. And I put all those sheets in here. After I built the scooter, I went back and wrote a very detailed instructables post on it, documenting how I built the whole thing. And having a complete record of that design process made writing the post extremely easy.
So having a binder is something that any size project can really benefit from. However, the next step up from that for slightly larger projects is filming and taking pictures. The nice thing about having all this footage is that not only can you look back and see what you were doing throughout the project, but you can also compile it all and edit it down into videos to put online on websites like Kickstarter if you need monetary support. If your project is large enough, you can also make a website, which is a little bit like having a digital version of your binder. And that makes all that information publicly available for members of your team or outside supporters. Google Sites is an easy and intuitive tool that you can use to build a project website.
All of these project documentation tips can be used no matter how big the project is, whether it's something that you're just working on as a person, or several people, or a whole team of people. However, when you get a whole team of people working together on one project, you need to develop some project management skills to keep everyone focused and organized.
A good way to proceed is to organize an official team meeting to kick off the project.
At this initial team meeting, it's also good to decide general scope of the project, kind of overall what the project's going to look like. Once you've figured out the general scope of the project, a next step can be identifying kind of smaller subtasks and subgoals, which can be completed incrementally throughout the project. To recap all the tools which are freely available online for project documentation and team management, you've got Google Sites for creating a project website, Google Groups for organizing a team of people, Dropbox can be very useful for sharing files instantaneously, essentially, between different team members with their own laptops and such. Google Docs is really nice because you can have multiple team members editing one document at the same time and all reviewing changes. And you can also have spreadsheets on there for just a list of team members, their relevant skills, and their contact information. We hope that you'll find these skills useful in the future when you're working on your own projects. I'm Sam.
I'm Joe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Great content, as always, from Sam and Joe's Corner. And we are having a Polymer party at Maker Camp today with Sugru's inventor, Jane Ní Dhulchaointigh. We're going to jump over to Enrique to get some camper questions. Hey, Enrique, what are some of the camper questions?
Hello. I will ask the first question. Campers would like to know how Sugru is made and what was the hardest technical problem, technical challenge when you create Sugru.
Okay, so do you mean how it was made in the development process or how it's made in the factory?
Yeah, how to make it in the factory, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's composed of a whole set of different ingredients that are a combination of, I guess the main component ingredient is a silicone fluid, and that is why it's got a quite precise chemistry, so that when we combine it with I mean, it's quite technical, but there are some quite active ingredients that are called a cross-linker and a catalyst and an adhesion promoter. Cross-linker, and then the third set of ingredients are powders, and that's what helps to give it the material strength and make it something that you can mold and shape with, so it's not just a flowing liquid. All of these are combined very carefully in a mixing process, a blending process, which has to be done at very particular temperatures and very particular speeds and conditions. But basically, it's about the polymer chains in the silicone need to be capped with these. Oh, I'm not a chemist, but you know what I mean. There's basically you're activating them, and then the catalyst that's in there makes it sensitive to activate the Sugru on exposure to atmospheric moisture. So it's quite a particular catalyst. In some glues, there are catalysts that will be work on exposure to UV light, for example, and those glues are really used for glass and things like that. But yeah, Sugru is activated by atmospheric moisture, so that anyone can use it and you don't put it in the oven. So that's how it's made, and it's basically a huge mixing machine, and then we pack it into large sausages, about this long, this wide, and then that makes it airtight. And then after that, the next process is to extrude it through. We have an extrusion machine where there's a ram extruder that's pushing the flexible bag through a small die that shapes it into these little 5-gram pieces, and then they get packed into this size foil. And it's until now we've actually packed every single one of these by hand, which is kind of crazy because it looks like it's like completely automated or whatever, because it's perfect. But we've just invested in a big engineering project over the last 2 years to help to automate this process. So that's like something we've had to not just innovate and be creative around the material of Sugru, but all the process and how it's made and the packaging and everything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Cal wants to know, so you explained repairing toys. But have you done any like mashups with action figures or anything like that?
Hey, funny you should ask that. So one of the things that we've seen people do a lot is combining Sugru with other things. So one of those things is combining Sugru with Lego. So because Sugru bonds really well to Lego bricks, you can bond them onto things. So for example, check out this dinosaur, which has got some Lego blocks Sugru'd onto it, which means that you can, if you put another piece of Lego on this Angry Bird, for example, they can go together. Or this one, I don't know what this is, but it's basically all components from other toys. And you can take a head off one and put it onto a body of another, an arm of another. So it's basically just kind of having fun with such weird things. The other thing that Sugru combines really well too for connecting stuff is magnets. So we recently made, because we saw quite a lot of people in the community doing this, and so we got some magnets and packaged them up in a little tin. So this is a magnet kit where you can buy Sugru and these really strong neodymium magnets together. And basically it works to, you can use it to connect things. So for example, these are like a front and back bike light. I've got a magnet on each, and I've got a magnet on the front of my bike and the marathon on the back stem of my saddle post. And you just click them on. So instead of having those kind of fiddly things, plastic things, it's just like pull them on and off, and it's a really good connector.
You know, I love that Sugru has made things like Lego and magnets and all of these things that have already so many possibilities and given you even more. Like you can make your own Lego bricks. You can do all this stuff.
It's amazing.
So it's so fun, and it's such a maker-friendly material. So thank you so much for being here and sharing that with us, because it really is. It's such an important thing for the Make community, and I'm really happy that we were able to share this really fun idea and like just all of the fun things you can do with this with our campers. So campers, you know, I wish we could take like 1,000 more questions, because you guys are so great at questions. But Sugru has said that they will be checking out the community page to see the challenge today and to maybe answer some of your questions. So keep an eye out for them there.
Yeah, absolutely. Head on over there right after the show, and there's more content to go there. But for tomorrow, we have an exciting day for tomorrow, because it's another field trip. That's right. We're going to head over to the Google Garage and meet with 2 members on the team who will give us a tour of Google's self-driving car.
It's going to be awesome. So
No hands.
Yeah, I know. No hands, Mom, look. Very excited about that. So we will see you all tomorrow for that. And in the meantime, if you were inspired by anything you saw today, remember, do try this at home. Goodbye, campers.
Bye.
Bye.